The Art of Writing by Sofia, Appelgren and Fanny.
Imagine being asked to write a certain type of text and to include all the essential characteristics that usually are included in the type of text. Perhaps some issues would appear. This video is created to make writers and students avoid mistakes, but also to ensure that their text becomes as well written as possible. The text presented in this presentation are article, report and competition entry. The presentation will start with explaining the phenomenon formal writing.
Formal writing. There are many rules in formal writing and they vary from text to text. When writing, have this question in mind: who is the reader? Writing a formal text to a teenage magazine will make the text seem stiff. Due to the fact that there are too many rules, this video will only bring up the general ones. Do avoid personal pronouns, contractions and everyday language. Of course, is avoiding personal pronouns difficult for a report or a competition entry where the writer is writing his or her recommendations and his or her opinions. In these two types of text, you can use the pronouns I, but avoiding speaking directly to the reader by using you, for example. On the other hand, an article should be objective and thus avoiding any personal pronouns is essential. Instead of directly write to a reader by writing "you can see that," for example, rephrase it and write "it is evident." Contractions should also be avoided, and it can be simply done by writing, for example, "do not" instead of "don't", was not instead of wasn't. On the other hand, what should be written when writing formal? Here are some of the advices: linking devices, formal words and synonyms. By using linking words, the text will seem more fluent and make it easier for the reader to follow the text. Using however instead of but, and in addition or also instead of and. There are many linking words that can be used. Moving on, what does it mean to use formal words? There are words and expressions that makes the text seem to be informal when being used. For instance, a bit or a stuff. Try to find synonyms that are more precise, because when writing the word a stuff, the reader actually have no idea what it is. Instead, try to be more clear. Was it a machine or a component? Using synonyms will make the text seem more well written. Small changes can make the text be seen in a new light. How to write a competition entry. The aim of writing a competition entry is to win a competition, which makes the writer's task to receive the reader's attention. A recommendation will be having a text that is written in an energetic tone or in a way that shows enthusiasm and interest, yet is formal. Depending on who the reader is, the grade of formal writing can differ. In this case, avoiding personal pronouns might not be the most important rule. However, it is important to use appropriate words and expressions to make the text seem more professional. Also, use linking devices. When writing a competition entry, always carefully read the instructions. What should be included? The text should not have more information than needed, such as a presentation of the writer himself. The structure of the competition entry is important. Even though no headings are needed, a clear structure is required. By dividing the text in paragraphs with introduction, body and conclusion, the reader will easily be able to follow the text. To begin with the introduction, it should be a short text where the writer introduces the subject of the competition entry. An interesting introduction is recommended, where the reader can already from the beginning gain the reader's attention. Thereafter, it is the body. Depending on what the competition is about, the reader might answer some questions or describe a certain environment. It could be anything. Lastly, the conclusion. In a conclusion, a short summary of what is written in the body is presented. And now a marvelous competition entry is written.
How to write an article. Before starting to write an article, it is important to have a clear view of what the article is going to involve and focus on. Either the article is written on request from a client or due to personal interest. It is recommended to write down notes and keywords. Regardless the type of text to be written, structure is the key to success. When the time has come to start writing the article, it's vital to write with a fluent language. According to the CAE, an article is supposed to be informal. However, the most important is to adopt the language and way of writing to the audience. In the beginning of an article, it's important to catch the reader's interest, and there are many different ways to accomplish that. In the evening newspapers, interest is captured by shocking headlines about divorces and sex scandals, while the reader of an article about popular science often find other headings more attractive. Therefore, it's important to know who the future reader of the article will be. Furthermore, another way to arouse interest is to begin the text with something that is easy for the reader to relate to. Therefore, are personal, everyday experiences good openers in an article? Still, there are differences between personal and private. A way to engage the audience through the article is to ask questions. Even though the answer is written in the text, the questions will keep the reader alert. End the article with a sensible conclusion.
How to write a report. A report is written in a purpose to improve a certain event. What was successful and what was less successful. Moreover, giving suggestions about how to improve the event are extremely important. A report should be concise, therefore no long explanations or describings are needed. Unlike a competition entry or an article, a report needs headings over every paragraph. Name the headings in an appropriate name that fits with the following text. Firstly, begin with the introduction, where the aim of this report is presented. Then, the suggestions are presented. What was unsuccessful and the apparent reason for it is briefly described. Thereafter, make the recommendations. Remember to present the recommendations in a formal way. For instance, begin the sentence with "I suggest," or "I recommend," or "it will be a good idea to," and etc. If a certain part of the event was done good, encourage the event to continue it by recommending it also. For example, "I propose we extend the program next year." Also here, avoiding personal pronouns is not the most important rule. Rather set the focus on writing formal with concise phrases and linking devices. Then, end the report with a conclusion. As told earlier, the conclusion shall sum up the whole text.
This video has presented how to write formal and how to write three different types of text: a competition entry, an article, and a report. As conclusion, when writing, always remember to vary the text and the language depending on who the reader is. Have in mind what type of text is supposed to be written and follow the rules of the specific text type. Keep a good structure through the whole text, and finally, have fun.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.